I don't let AI to do any type of math. AI should not touch the math at all.
Hi, Hisham. Welcome to Utopia Podcast. So from your background, I read you are CS grad, machine learning researcher, data science, and then CTO. So now you are co-founder shipping your own product. So would you be able to give me like 1 minute of your background, where are you from, and what make you where you are now?
Hey, thank you very much for having me. My name is Hisham, and I've been in the US for quite a while now. I went to my undergrad in Virginia Tech. I studied computer science. I had some hands-on research. I worked on antibiotics resistant research there, student as well. Then I continue my education at Fairfield University. I studied data science. I worked on a lot of voice and text AI models, and I carry this skills to my current startup, which is basically focusing on LLM and math-oriented.
That's interesting. So most technical people who can build something today, they don't really go on to build a company like a startup. They will just maybe like build an app to use, but they don't really like take the pivot and jump. So, and most technical people, they are executing someone else's vision while building the product. So it takes a lot of work. So when did you like realize this point that you want to stop building for other people and actually take the jump and build your own?
Actually, very early. Before even deciding my major, I definitely chose computer science because I can have hands-on on any problem, and I don't need have a funding in general. I can build my own project right away without the need of having a fund behind any idea. So I had the option to go either computer engineering or computer science. In my early stages, I really want to build something I really have a passion about, and it's a problem solving oriented project.
Brings me to the point where I saw Quotix, like you mentioned, you ran the pricing rules, 6 pricing rules through 6 different AI chatbot, and you got 6 different numbers. None of the numbers are the same. So like walk me back to this moment. What are you trying to do when you're testing this? And what did you realize this gap in the market?
Okay, I want to start with this in a different way. So in my college, I worked on text predictions. Basically, I worked with the Greek text that, I don't know Greek. And we had like letters. It's wear out over time, and there are missing letters. So we used AI to predict what's the word in this letter. So, we work with history professors, etc., and they have that project. They have a lot of papers, and there are missing letters, and they don't know what the letter or what the word in the letter is missing. So basically, we used AI to predict what's a possible letter or a word missing in that particular. The first experience when I used AI to do math, let's say 1 + 1 is 2, I actually was surprised it will give me 2. So
Yes.
my understanding from AI is it will predict the next character, and when it gave me 2, I was like, okay, great, it predict the next character.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, maybe let me try to do this. Let me try to say 1 plus space equal 2. Can that happen? That's the project I work on. Something missing in the middle, can the AI, because it will try to fill what's missing in the character. And it was a reasonable response. Then when I start to go advanced with the math, then the AI did not do a good job with math. And it made sense to me. Why? Because AI tried to predict what's the next character. And 1 plus 1 equals 2. The AI saw this in the training somewhere. A lot of books, a lot of textbooks, etc., has this formula. But when you go advanced with the formula, your formula is really unique now. And the AI never saw your formula. And in order to predict what's the next character in your formula, that becomes very unique. And the AI start to guess based on your prompt what's a good answer for that. And from there, they will start to hallucinate and making things up in the response.
So the results didn't just surface a bug, it ended an assumption that you have been building on. So how long did you try to fix this, or did you even try to fix this before you realize that this is a deeper problem than just prompting. It's more than just a prompt.
From the beginning, wanted the AI to do the math for me because I know it's probabilities. It's all about predictions. So I did not want to rely on the AI to do the math because in my head, I know it's all about predictions and math cannot be based on predictions. However, AI is very, very powerful when it comes to negotiations and try to come up with reasoning and justify why this is happening, right? And actually the pivot in my thinking when the time comes to let the AI, let's say, book on your calendar. When AI came out, we had also the MCP concept where you connect it to your calendar, you connect it to your Slack, etc., and let AI do the booking on your behalf. So I realized, well, that's great. So I can send the AI to a function I already know. It can do a good job, something I already can control the results and the way it's thinking. So I said AI is great with negotiations. It's great with understanding the big picture because it's trained on a lot of context and it can understand in general the picture, what you actually want, and let the AI call a function that actually very well designed to do the math. So I made these connections. I said AI is good for reasoning and understanding the concept, and let the math do it in a separate engine, basically.
Most people in your position would have kept training the AI to get the math right, like any other tool that you want to just keep giving them more data to improve the model, but you make a totally different decision. So you kept the AI for the conversational part, then you build a separate layer for the calculation and the pricing.
Exactly. Yeah. So two different engines. They never cross over. They just communicate within their boundaries.
And can you walk me through how did you split it this way? So the pricing and then the AI, and then how do they actually communicate and you ensure that it is accurate compared to just using either?
In general, I don't let AI to do any type of math. AI should not touch the math at all. Whenever the time comes to math, the AI should translate what's happening and go and check what's possible in the engine. And the engine will return the value of based on the conditions, all the rules, etc. And the AI will show this in a very user-friendly way. So the AI is basically a translator. In a way, you can think of it this way: AI is basically translator, and the engine is basically the math engine behind the AI is the brain. So translator with the brain, they never cross over. They stay within their boundaries.
For other people or other companies, individuals, the obvious move was to keep using AI to continue doing everything in one conversation and pricing, and just try to get it to be smarter over time because it's cheaper and easier and there's just less systems. Then why do you think that is not good enough? Then what would you say to founders or people who are still using this one system?
Yeah, exactly. You can work on this as a side project, but you want to take this to an actual product and you sell it to companies. Nobody tolerate any miscalculations. It's not a product. Nobody will spend money on this, right? And having everything in the AI space, even with vibe coding, it's a black box. You don't know exactly what's happening based on what. Even the prompt is explicitly saying, do this, but you're looking at the black box. When times come to companies always like to track what happens. If someone complains about something, you have the budget, the margin was going below a certain number, etc. You want to go back and see where the problem came from, whose fault, where is the miscalculation was. You're working with a black box, and that's not a product for businesses. Businesses like to track. They like to see a trend, look at charts. They wanna have the flexibility of adjusting their formula at some point, right? They wanna have this system to be very easy to understand, and they can visualize the logic at the same time. They have a track of what they did before, what the margin looks like, and for bigger companies, enterprise, sometimes they keep a delta. If I change these variables what's the result? How is that affecting my margin? What quarter two looks like versus quarter one? If I change my pricing strategy during a lot of companies, they go with the Black Friday discounts or a new year, something like that. So they want to track this metrics, and you need to apply in the future. This is for now, it's a good project, but in the future, this project should be a fundamental for any AI later. So having a way to track the project and the result is what drives me for particular approach.
Okay, and you're moving also pretty fast. Like now, you're already in early deployment with HVAC and property management businesses. So so many things going on, like website, full launch coming soon. And are you managing it, like everything yourself?
Yeah, the hardest truth is yes, because I do have the skills. I definitely work on this pretty much the entire time, and I like to have my own vision in the way I want to build this. Right? Sometimes I really try to have other people helping with design, etc. But at the end, it's definitely my vision. I want to have this implemented the way I want. I want to test it the way I want. So I'm working on this pretty much by myself. I have some people give me really good advice, and I pivot my project around that too. So just to be clear.
Will you ever think of getting a co-founder or an advisor on board, or do you think that it's harder to align on the same vision?
I have more than one advisor, and I get feedback. That's why I have to build in public, and I start on social media, because people are giving me feedback. They go like, why why you're considering this? Like, for example, I had a post in a group. I said, okay, I'm building this for an HVAC company, and one person, he commented on this. He said, well, there are more conditions you cannot really predict unless you're on site. How you're encountering for this? And that triggered the idea is, if the homeowner does not know how to answer these specific, questions of the service, then we can give them a bracket and say, if you're not sure exactly where is your AC unit located, where do you want to install this like roofing machine or something like that on the roof, you want it in the garage, etc. You can have the option to say, I'm not sure, and we can give you a bracket, and you can get more clarifications during a call or home visit, etc. So that's a feedback I get from people. And I do have advisors. I do have people work with like big CRMs and work in big companies who give me really advice. I have a lot of classmates, a lot of them work in Fortune 500 companies, and I'm staying in touch with them. I them update about what I'm thinking, staying with the most recent technology, etc. So yeah, I definitely have that mindset where I wanna adjust and pivot in the way I'm thinking based on things make sense.
Okay, so that's interesting. So like, what is the hardest thing that you say as a solo founder doing this everything alone?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, everything I had experienced before, it was on the engineering side, right? All the skills, everything was built around the engineering, how we can work on this problem, how we can fix this, how to apply AI in this context, etc. Now, from that and trying to go to the market, you have to go with a different message all the time, because people, they don't really, like, it doesn't relate to them what kind of technology you're using. They care how is that solving their problem, right? So if you tell an HVAC company, well, I have the best AI to do calculations for you, he goes like, why I need this? Unless you explain, saying, if you're running ads and you don't want to answer all the quotes 24/7, you don't miss leads, etc., that will save you a lot of time. That will make sure your margin stays within the limits you have. That make sure everybody is transparent about how you're pricing, etc. And that saves you time. At the same time, has a high ROI on your investment, because if you get one extra job, that pays for itself. So that's a lesson, and I learned it early on in the Edge Node company. That's where I started everything. But that's something I think it's worth mentioning here.
Yeah, I think also it's interesting that you mentioned it from a technical co-founder perspective, because what you mentioned is more towards like marketing and business, how you position yourself and the product. Like you're just selling the solution to solve their problem. Because I mean, there can be many other solutions that is coming out. They are similar, but the way you phrase it on how you particularly can solve their problem, I think is a differentiator.
In my case, I think the concept of quoting, like CPQ, configure pricing quote, that's a Salesforce software, and it's definitely a multi-million dollar, probably multi-billion dollar, software, and it's enterprise level. There's a big difference when you work with an enterprise versus small businesses. Small businesses, they care about the speed, and they don't definitely have the budget. But bringing this project to their expectations and how that can help them in their businesses, I had to pivot multiple times while I'm building this project, listening to my advisor. So, like the big lesson is you need to know your ideal, like ICP, right? Ideal customer portfolio, who's actually will be the person understand exactly the problem, and it's a painkiller to them versus a nice to have. So like at first I was thinking to reach out to businesses and say, okay, well, I can't help you with this, this idea. Then my advisor was like, well, you're going to have a learning curve in this, and businesses, they don't really follow up with technology. Who can actually help you with this is the people who implement this technology to businesses, like agencies or AI consulting. They understand what's the limitations, they understand what's the what's the market looking for, and you actually partnership with them or talk to them about being like a distribution for your project, etc. That's a better approach than reaching out to businesses directly. So that's a pivot in a way. I was thinking to reach out to the market, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense, because when I talk to consulting, I talk to agencies. When I tell them AI cannot do the math, they go like, yeah, absolutely, I cannot do the math. Can you actually fix this? So that's the question you get. They understand, but when you talk to a business owner, they go like, okay, well, I don't care. They see it that way. So
most business owners or most CEOs, they don't really know a lot on technical parts unless they are a technical co-founder. They just know how to run the business and what needs to be done. So I get that a lot. Like they don't know how to fix it, but just fix it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They're more focused on their business. They don't really care too much about technology. And they really have a lot of friction on adapting new technology too. Right?
This goes on to the next question that I'll ask every founder on this show. Like when you're sitting with the pivot and all the times when you need to make a really large decision for your business, who do you turn to? Before you have an advisor, who did you speak to first?
I have some network around, like classmates, professors. I don't really think how much my professor were like really helpful in a lot of things, really, in technology and advising with how to approach the market, etc. So I had a college before that, and once I started to go outside the college, I started to build my network, through founders events, through talking consulting, etc. And in the beginning, you make mistakes, and that's okay. And I'm not trying to go to the market as quickly as possible. I'm getting a lot of feedback, and at this point, I handle most of the edge cases I was not thinking about, and it's a great time for me to work with beta tester, and I'm gonna talk with a couple of companies who are willing to do this product. But in the beginning, you just need to talk to people, in your circle. Then after that, if the college is not around, if you were a student or something like that, then going to events and talk to founders and get their input. Mention your idea, see how much they absorb this pitch, basically. But just only one tip here I really realize is you just need to find the right people really to give you the feedback. If you got the feedback from people they don't really understand the problem, it will reflect a little bit on your energy, and you cannot, you cannot know if I'm doing something wrong really, or it's just like one person opinion type of thing. So yeah, that's a little bit tricky. You have to be careful with that, who you ask.
So that's the interesting part. Like if you get all these advices or like, feedback from people that you know, like how do you know whose advice to follow or whose feedback to take into account when pivoting or deciding something like huge?
Right. So, like go-to-market strategy, the advisor I took to, he's actually a consulting, and he took on a daily basis with potential customer for me, right? So he understands exactly how they think, what they care about, and what their budget looks like. Because, let's say their budget, like HVAC in general, he sent me a lot of statistics about that, and that's how we give it. So HVAC business in general, almost 70% or 80% of the HVAC companies in US are not ideal for my idea because they're a small business. Like they're 1 to 3 person in that business, and they don't really need that much of automations, and they don't have the budget for it sometimes or something like that. They don't really have that. So my ideal customer, for example, after having this discussion with my advisor, is any HVAC companies running ads. They really get a lot of leads, and they want to make sure they automate the process. They can reach out to the lead as soon as possible. But when someone asks about the price and they don't get the price, they will go and search another business at the same time. So either you're gonna be 24/7 responding to all these leads, and the majority of leads are people really not serious in general. So people ask how much this will cost me, and they never commit to the business. So this is a really great advice. Is any business who run ads and they have a complex pricing. When you ask the business how much it will cost me, the answer typically goes like, oh, it depends. So there are a lot of configurations with the pricing, and they run a lot of ads. So it makes sense for them to automate the quoting process. So when we talked about that with my advisor, he had that background. So when you talk to someone who actually have a direct connections to your ideal customer, or they actually face the problem, they out in their work. So that's why I decided which one I took to.
Okay, so you mentioned that you did took some time to figure out your ICP. Like how long was that, and how many pivots did you take before you like define it, or is it not define it? Like, cause I know things change.
Okay, so let me start from here. When I started the Edge node, I wanted to be a very generic agency because I don't have the advantage of working with an enterprise. I don't want the VC to be investing in my idea. So I said, okay, I want to start an agency where I can work with any business, automate as much as I can. I don't care about how much they pay me. I want to find a problem. I want to find a pattern where I can automate it, right? So I work with a real estate company. I work with a home assembly services company. I work with, like a roofing and cleaning company. So I realized, when the time comes to, the form for the service you're looking for, they are trying to, have their pricing on their website, or, give sort of automations, but the tools out there is limited, right? So I had to do code basically for every single one separately. Then I said, okay, well, it's a good time. I have almost 3, 4, 5 businesses now. I'm actually doing their quoting manually. Like I had to type in every single line code to make their quoting kind of like, automate the way they want. So I said, great, that's what I'm looking for. This is exactly why I asked with a generic agency to figure out a really problem where I can take it and make a platform for, or make this idea more sellable, and have a business behind that idea. So I said, okay, great. Now pricing, I have enough experience with building pricing for companies, and let's build a platform to solve this problem and give access to anyone really have struggled with the pricing.
So that was 2 years of your previous company before you pivoted into this, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I have experience working with small, medium businesses in US.
Okay, that's interesting. So like, how did you have a work-life balance? Or maybe you don't? I don't know. I'm just asking. Like, do you have a work-life balance as a solo founder and who is doing everything?
Yeah, honestly, at this stage, there is no fixed schedule. A lot of things, you set my schedule for tomorrow, and you end up with a total different schedule. That's reality, because and that's something I'm very okay with until I my project, and I have more organized system. So my goal was, I want to get an idea. I never worked in the U.S. market in general as a like an entrepreneur, and I'm taking this couple years to learn as much as possible. There is no break, and there should not be any break really. But life, but you always can go and find a couple hours here and there and go to the gym if you want, etc. But the is very unpredictable. Every day something on the schedule you never expected, and the plans not always goes as you expected. So you're gonna be adapting this roller coaster really. Yeah.
So back to discussion, like how do you like cope with stress, especially the uncertainty of all these things? Because I mean, nothing is known in the business and startup scene.
Honestly, I'm not the type of person who sit and try to code like nine in the morning all the way to 9 in the evening. I more focus on having an idea, write it down, take a little break, take a walk, I don't know, go make a lunch, come back, work on the idea. Definitely many times, if you're stubborn and you just want to fix the problem coding, you realize you spend a lot of time on very minor problems. It can be fixed after you're coming back from a break. So work will never end, no matter what. But you have a little break that you give yourself a chance to come back and look at the problem fresh. I think that's solve almost 30-40% of the problems I go through daily.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point because if you continue to like edit the code and work on something repeatedly, I think you hallucinate together with the model. So like, things to jump out. You don't get the clear outside of the box perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Not just only focus on one problem and clear your mind all the time. You need to just take a little break every once in a while. It's very healthy, I think, at least for me.
Yeah, sure. So the last question here, like 2 years building in the US, I mean now your third year, like pre-launch and building in public on YouTube. Like if you're starting your company now, Quotix again tomorrow, like what is one decision you will make faster? And what is one thing you will really like do it again and avoid this mistake?
One decision making this faster, I want to say that in my case, like for the most part, I was making decisions along the way in Edge Node, like my agency. So last year I came up with the idea with Quotix, and I was making decisions along the way. And the last 6 months I was building Quotix. But like one thing I really learned in Quotix, because Quotix was like all the lessons I learned in the Edge Node, right? And making Quotix was a little easier than making the Edge Node in general because I was getting feedback along the way. So I was trying to see what people think about this idea along the way, and that speed up the overall architecture of Quotix, because Quotix is really the business brain. You need to put your business brain in this software and make it think the same way you think. And this does not really come over time. And in my case, I had this idea early on while I was working on other businesses, and I actually like one simple thing, like the Edge Node is one. It's a long name, and I said I don't want a really long name. I want to fix this. I want to have a shorter name. So those little things sometimes really you don't realize until you start to go through the process. Let's say you want to type in an email and you say Hisham at the Edge Node, etc., versus Hisham at Quotix. It's a whole different experience. But those little things you don't really realize accumulate really quickly. And I know from beginning, I said the Edge Node will be my test case. I want to try to test everything possible in this company until I come up with an idea, and it should help me to build my second project hopefully much better. So in my case, I learned from my mistake. So you have to go through the process and see what are little things annoying along the way and try to make them better.
Okay, I think that's a good point. Like that's why most times when founders start to build another business after the first one, you get to go a lot faster because you know already what to avoid and you already feel it and you know the time it took, so you can easily pave the way.
I just want to say, like, very last thing, like, I don't think anyone should get disappointing from trying at once, right? Because great ideas, even great essays, a great anything, even with vibe coding, even you get really phenomenal results. Sometimes you have to iterate and try to work on the first version, and it will only get better as you learn. So it's true with all founders.
Yeah, so every founder also honestly will never know the answer or never know the right answer. You just learn through experience and learn through mistakes and maybe other people's mistakes, like if you're lucky enough to know it. So that's really the point. All right, so I'm going to close this podcast today, and thanks, Hisham, for your time, and I'm wishing you all the best for Quotix.
Thank you very much, Gina, and appreciate the time you're taking. Thank you.
Yeah.